Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. So, the SINoALICE team put out a final news video before shutdown of the global version. I will not go over everything that they announced in full, but I'll pick up a few things that I think would be interesting to folks who want to know some behind-the-scenes stuff in mobile games. And then after I talk about those, I'll review the game based on my 2 months with it, and think about if I would have stayed with the game depending on when I had picked it up. So the biggest takeaway for me from the news video was how much of an effort the developers were making to communicate specifically to the global community. I heard from commenters, thank you for those comments, that there were various things that could have been done in-game quality of life wise that were not implemented, and that's unfortunate. But this level of communication, and then looking at their channel and all the other live streams and other news videos that they've done, this level of communication is not typical, as anyone who has played a few global versions of Japanese mobile games knows. And so that makes me wonder if the developers wanted to put in those quality of life, but couldn't for whatever reason, lack of manpower, or just not allowed by the higher-ups. Another thing was during the quiz, they talked about kind of a PR failure that they ran into. And that was they held a vote, or like a contest to name a supporting character. And then they released the character, but it was, you had to purchase it with the in-game currency. And I guess this was a big scandal early in the life of the game. It's not a big deal by itself, but it does bring up the point that part of the developer's job is to manage the community's feelings, and that what the JP and global communities care about are different, as I pointed out in my recent Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis video. Something kind of similar happened in War of the Visions, when there was a fan vote to make a new version of a character. Everybody voted on Zazan, and then they released him as a limited character in the Fest banner, and people were pissed off. But yeah, the answer in both cases, and they said so in the SINoALICE livestream, would be to make it somehow a handout to everybody. It's like decided by the fans, should be for the fans, not just for whales. But yeah, it's interesting, like, you know, the developer community of Japanese mobile games is not that large. People know people in other companies working on other games, and then you would think that they would know about kind of the scandals that each company's run into, and then try to do things to avoid that, but they tripped up on this one. Maybe there's just kind of less knowledge overall of what global players like, or what they will forgive. But I do feel like over the years, the JP developers have learned a little bit more how the global community thinks and feels. And then during talking about the results of the final PvP competition, they were talking about how they got comments saying that the rewards for the end of service was not that generous, but they scaled it back because they did not want to kind of affect the results or the competition of that final PvP event. And I can put some respect on the developer's name for their decision there. And really, it's like you choose between, you know, showering people with gifts the last 2 months, or maintaining the integrity of the PvP, which is kind of the central thing of this game. And I think that's very understandable to go for the PvP. But I think back to the end of Global Monster Strike, that was way over the top with kind of new releases and handouts and stuff. Like 10 shots with 10 rare pulls in there every day. But there was no PvP aspect in that game. So that was fine to speed up, you know, super power creep, release a bunch of transcendent forms towards the end, load up everybody with free pulls. But yeah, it kind of depends on the environment of the game. And it makes me wonder what they're going to do for a Near Reincarnation. I do feel like that they would like to also, you know, maintain the integrity of Arena, but Arena is only one kind of a smaller aspect of the game. The game is more PvE focused with subjugations and fate boards and all that, so I'm guessing that Near Reincarnation is going to be more generous than SINoALICE at the end, but we'll see. So those were the 3 biggest takeaways that I took from this kind of final news video. And then I'll include one takeaway from a previous news video. That was for the 3-year anniversary, and then during that, one of the developers said, I'll put it up on the screen, but he said, I never expected us to go on for 3 years. I'm really amazed that we made it this far, and then everybody laughed. They're not trying to be dicks here, They're just acknowledging the notions of most developers that they have at the launch of their games, which is, don't presume success. And even the director of Near Reincarnation said the same thing. I think it was maybe in the 2.5 anniversary livestream, but he was saying that at the beginning of the game, they were not expecting it to go on this long because it just wasn't that type of game. The Japanese mobile game industry is cutthroat. A dozen games release every month, and a dozen games shut down every month. And the average life of a game is about a year after service, so really anything over 2 years is considered a success. So yeah, people that have just an unfailing faith in the games, the lifespan of the games, not even the developers have that much faith. Okay, so that'll do it for the takeaways that I got from these news videos. Next, let's do a game review. I'm happy that I picked it up, for the last 2 months. Get a sense of the feel and the atmosphere, the characters, and the music. But looking at the battle system, and then looking at how it is so PvP focused, if I had picked this up 3 years ago at the release of Global, I think I would have dropped it pretty quickly. If I had picked it up 6 years ago with the JP release, I might have stuck with it, just because like all of our kind of our standards and our expectations of mobile games were different at that time. But yeah, I've never been a PvP guy in any of my video games, going back to consoles and all that. And running into the sudden jump in difficulty for the main story quests, for the Act of Annihilation, I think it is. I was very put off by how that was kind of behind a paywall. I've talked about this a lot recently, but I don't like when story, and especially main story, is behind very high difficulty stuff or behind paywalls. I always try to keep casual gamers in mind, and they really do make up the bulk of the population, as we saw with recent survey results in Near Reincarnation. But story for a lot of players is going to be the #1 reason to play the game, and if you make it a point of stress, or if you make it a point of monetization, that's going to frustrate a lot of people. And so on principle, I'm going to quit SINoALICE. I'm not going to play the story anymore, and I'm just going to read everything that I can find online. And then I'll put some links down in the comments of this video. I saw a thread on Reddit. Some people were gathering together resources to read stories. Hopefully those will be enough to cover everything. And then here, we can talk about the concept of pay to win. What are my standards there? And then is SINoALICE a pay to win game? For me, I draw the line where if paying is the only way to win, if somebody with a free-to-play account can win through unusual skill or just building up their account slowly over time, I would not call that a pay-to-win situation. And if winning does not get you anything kind of unique or powerful in the game, then I would also say it's not pay-to-win. If you're just getting like a badge or like a nickname or something, I wouldn't call that pay-to-win. Near Reincarnation kind of flirts with this because Subjugations, which does kind of require a certain monetary investment, it can get you unique rewards, like the shiny coins to do the karma for the Recollections of Dusk characters, or the other materials to take the Blackhorn weapons to level 100. Neither of those are necessary for anything, but they are unique rewards, so that kind of toes the line of pay to win. But I would say it does not go over, because you can't just throw money at Subjugations and then get the high scores. You have to put in the time and know what you're doing, do the team building, get the timing right on everything. So yeah, I would not call Near Reincarnation a pay-to-win game. SINoALICE, however, again, the central part of it is the PvP, and you can definitely get a leg up by paying more. And if you win more PvP battles, you will get stronger at a much faster rate than everyone else. I'm not sure if you can get unique rewards for winning a lot of PvP battles, but the rate of growth is much, much greater than without it. And then, as we saw, seeing the story takes a bit of payment. And then if you aren't paying yourself, then you have to rely on friends who have paid in order to clear those quests. So I would call SINoALICE a pay-to-win game. So that's leading to my decision to quit now. Not that it matters now, but if I had run into this, earlier in the life of the game, that would have probably made me quit at that point as well. Okay, so no more gameplay videos of SINoALICE, but still I want to do one more kimono fashion check, and then I want to do a video comparing the kind of the storytelling structure and techniques of this game compared to Near Reincarnation. I will read the stories, of Annihilation and then the final one. If it's interesting enough for me to comment on, maybe I'll make a video about that too. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.